The starship Resolute descended slowly through the thick orange atmosphere of Zirath. The planet stretched below like a vast desert, its surface glowing under a dim sun that barely pierced the swirling clouds. Mountains of jagged crystal rose from the sand like frozen lightning. Captain Bram stood at the viewport, his hands resting lightly on the railing. His eyes followed the enormous formations as if he could read their secrets. Around him, the rest of the crew busied themselves with final checks, their movements tense but precise. The hum of the ship's engines was a constant reminder that they were far from home, and nowhere on Earth had ever been like this. Zirath had a reputation. Tales from traders and explorers spoke of its ruler, the alien Queen Clyra, who commanded an empire that spanned multiple star systems. Her power was legendary. Even the bravest of spacefarers whispered her name in fear. Yet Captain Bram had faced dangerous situations before. He reminded himself that fear could not guide a leader. The mission was clear: land, negotiate, and prevent a war that could destroy millions. The crew trusted him, not because he was fearless, but because he remained calm when everyone else panicked. "Atmospheric pressure stabilizing," said Lena, the ship's engineer, breaking the tense silence. Her voice carried a calm rhythm, almost soothing. She glanced at the monitors, then back at Bram. "We should touch down within the next few minutes. Surface readings show nothing that could damage the hull. Gravity is normal. Temperature is high but tolerable." Bram nodded. "Prepare the landing gear. Everyone, helmets on. We are not just visitors, we are diplomats. Move carefully and stay alert." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. Breathing through their suits, they watched as the ship's landing legs extended, making soft contact with the golden sands. A small cloud of dust rose around the hull. The starship shook lightly, and a strange sound resonated from the ground, a deep vibration that went straight through their boots. It was as though the planet itself was alive, acknowledging their arrival. Outside the viewport, the crystal towers loomed taller than any building on Earth. They shimmered with colors that shifted with the angle of the sun. It was difficult to tell where the crystal ended and the sky began. Bram felt a mixture of awe and unease. Humans were explorers, yet even in their most ambitious dreams, nothing like this had ever existed. "Look at that," said Mara, the ship's science officer. Her voice trembled slightly, though she tried to hide it. "These crystals are massive. Some are hundreds of meters tall. The energy readings are off the charts. This is incredible." Bram did not speak immediately. He watched the crystals, letting the silence hang. They were beautiful, yes, but also a reminder of the alien power waiting for them. He had read reports of Zirath's surface energy fields that could fry electronics in seconds. He had also read rumors of creatures that moved with unnatural speed and intelligence. Bram's gaze returned to the landing platform. The crew waited for his command. "Time to step onto Zirath," he said at last. "Stay close. Keep your eyes open. And remember, we are guests until we are not." The ramp lowered slowly, connecting the ship to the sand. A gust of warm wind rushed through the cabin, carrying the smell of hot minerals and something strange, metallic, almost sweet. The crew exchanged glances. This was a world entirely unlike their own, and every sense told them they were intruders. The first steps on the sand were careful. Bram led the way, his boots sinking slightly with each step. The ground felt firm but alive, almost as if it responded to their weight. The crew followed, scanning the horizon for any sign of life. Small creatures no larger than a human hand scurried between the crystals. Their bodies reflected light, making them look like living jewels. Mara bent slightly, studying them with her handheld scanner. "Not dangerous," she said, "but intelligent. They communicate with vibrations through the sand. Amazing adaptation." Bram allowed himself a small nod of approval, but his mind was already thinking ahead. The alien Queen Clara could be anywhere. Her presence was not limited to what the eyes could see. Stories described her as having a psychic connection to her subjects and surroundings. Even if they did not meet her immediately, she would know they were here, and she would judge them. As the crew advanced, a distant structure became visible. Unlike the jagged crystals nearby, this building was smooth, almost liquid in appearance. It pulsed with a faint blue light like a heartbeat. Bram slowed. The structure must be the palace of Queen Clyra. It towered over everything else, dominating the horizon. The air seemed to grow heavier with every step closer. The vibration from the ground intensified, and a faint humming filled the ears. Though no source was visible. "Captain," Lena whispered, her voice tense. The energy readings from that structure are unlike anything we have ever measured. It is alive somehow. Bram did not respond immediately. His mind weighed options, possibilities, and risks. A direct approach was necessary. Any sign of hesitation could be interpreted as fear or weakness. The Queen would notice it instantly. He signaled to the crew to form a protective formation around him. "Move forward," he said finally, slowly. "Keep scanning." They walked for what felt like hours, though the sun had barely moved in the sky. The heat was relentless, and yet the sand beneath their boots remained firm. Strange wind patterns swirled around the crystals, creating miniature dust storms that moved as if guided by invisible hands. Sometimes Bram thought he saw shadows within the crystals, figures that flickered and disappeared as soon as he tried to focus. Finally, they reached the base of the palace. The structure's surface was smooth, reflective, and alive with soft pulses of light. Bram raised his hand. "Stay alert. The Queen may appear at any moment." A low hum filled the air, and the sand around them seemed to ripple. The humans froze. Then a figure emerged from the palace. It was tall, far taller than any human, and its body seemed to shift like liquid metal. Its head was angular, and eyes glowed with an inner light that seemed to pierce through the soul. The alien Queen Clara had arrived. Bram straightened. His heart beat faster, but his face remained calm. "Captain Bram," the Queen's voice echoed both inside their ears and inside their minds. "You have entered my world. Speak your purpose." Bram stepped forward, his posture firm. "I am Captain Bram of Earth. We come in peace. We seek negotiation, not war." The Queen's form shimmered. "Peace is a human word. Power is universal. Do you understand the difference?" Bram met her gaze without flinching. "We understand power, but we also understand courage. And humans do not kneel to fear." The air grew thick with tension. The Queen tilted her head, studying him as though reading the depths of his thoughts. Her attendants, towering and armored, formed a protective circle around her. The humans felt the weight of their presence, a mixture of intimidation and awe. "Very well, human," she said finally, her voice like metal and silk combined. "You may enter my palace, but know this, every step will test you. Every moment may decide your fate. You will not find mercy for weakness here." Bram nodded slightly, acknowledging the warning but not showing fear. "We are ready," he said. "Lead the way." The crew followed him, stepping carefully into the palace. The floor was smooth yet somehow alive, responding to their presence with faint ripples of light. Walls of crystal shifted subtly, reflecting infinite possibilities. Bram led them through the entrance, aware that every movement was watched, every thought sensed. Zirath was a planet of power, and they had just entered the heart of it. For the humans, the first step on Zirath was not just a landing. It was the beginning of a journey that would test courage, ingenuity, and the very essence of what it meant to be human. As the palace doors closed behind them, Bram felt a sense of resolve. They had come as guests, but they would leave as equals or not at all. The alien queen waited, and the humans were ready to meet her challenge. The grand hall of the palace stretched beyond the humans' imagination. It was taller than the largest buildings on Earth, with ceilings that seemed to reach the sky. The walls shimmered like liquid glass, constantly changing colors from blue to silver to violet. Crystalline structures grew from the floor in intricate patterns, humming with soft energy that made the air feel alive. Every step the humans took echoed through the hall. But the sound was swallowed almost immediately, as if the building itself decided what to carry. Captain Bram led the crew carefully, his eyes scanning every movement. The attendants of Queen Clara flanked them, tall beings with metallic armor that reflected light in sharp streaks. Their faces were hidden behind masks, but their stance was alert and dangerous. Each movement of their limbs was precise, almost mechanical. The humans had trained for encounters with hostile life, but this presence was beyond anything they had imagined. The attendants were silent guardians, extensions of the Queen's will. The farther they moved into the hall, the stronger the hum became. It was not unpleasant, but it thrummed inside the chest like a low drumbeat. Lena, the engineer, tried to adjust her scanner, but the readings kept fluctuating. "The energy here," she whispered, "it is alive. It reacts to us." Mara, the science officer, bent down and touched a small crystal protruding from the floor. It pulsed gently under her fingers, then retracted slightly, almost like it was aware of her touch. "This is incredible," she said, her voice filled with awe. "Everything here is connected. The palace, the crystals, the attendants. It feels like the Queen is part of this place, and the place is part of her." Bram did not speak. He observed everything, noting the rhythm of the pulsing lights and the subtle shifts in the walls. His mind ran through possibilities. The queen would not make herself visible unless she was certain of the human's intentions. This was a game of patience, and he had no intention of being the first to falter. Suddenly, the hall grew silent. Even the hum of the crystals seemed to fade. The attendants froze, their armored bodies rigid. Bram signaled the crew to stop moving. A figure emerged from the far end of the hall. Queen Clara walked forward with fluid grace, her tall form shimmering like polished silver. The shape of her body shifted constantly, giving the impression that she was both solid and liquid at the same time. Her head was angular, her eyes glowing with a fierce intelligence. "You have entered my world," her voice rang out, calm yet commanding. The sound did not come from her mouth alone. It filled the humans' minds directly, resonating with a strange clarity. "Speak your purpose, human." Bram stepped forward, his posture steady. He did not lower his gaze, did not show fear. "I am Captain Bram of Earth. We come as representatives of our planet. We wish to speak with you and find a path to peace. We do not seek conflict." Clara paused, tilting her head slightly. Her eyes scanned each member of the crew in an instant, as if she could see every thought, every hidden fear. "Peace," she said, the word echoing in a way that seemed almost alien. "Peace is a word that carries little weight in this universe. Power rules all and weakness is taken without question." Bram's voice was calm and firm. "We understand power. We have faced threats in our history and survived. Humans are not the strongest, but we do not bow to fear. We rely on courage, ingenuity, and the will to protect what we value." The Queen's expression did not change, but Bram felt the subtle shift in the air. Clara's attendants moved slightly, adjusting their positions. The palace seemed to respond to the tension between them. Bram knew this was the first test. The Queen had not spoken yet to strike, but her presence alone was a trial. "Very well," Clara said after a moment. Her voice softened slightly, though the authority remained. "You may enter further into my palace, human. But understand this, every step you take will be watched. Every thought and emotion may be known to me. I will test your resolve. Weakness will be exploited, and mistakes will be costly." Bram nodded slightly, acknowledging her warning. "We accept your tests," he said. "We are ready." As they moved deeper into the palace, the environment changed subtly. The walls became taller, more intricate, and the hum of the crystals increased in intensity. Energy flowed through the floor and walls in visible streams, creating patterns that shifted like living water. The attendants walked silently beside them, always alert, their weapons resting but ready. Lena's scanner began picking up fluctuations in the energy around them. "The palace seems to respond to our presence," she said quietly. "I don't think it is just the Queen. The building itself is part of her. She can feel us, predict our movements, and test us without touching a single thing." Mara pointed to a narrow corridor leading to a large chamber. "That must be where she plans to challenge you. The energy patterns are stronger there. I think the final test begins in that room." Bram adjusted his stance. He could feel the tension in the air growing with every step. His crew followed him closely, each member aware that this was more than a physical challenge. This was a battle of mind, courage, and strategy. The chamber door opened before they reached it, as if the palace itself recognized their intent. Inside, the room was massive, round, and empty except for a glowing platform at its center. The floor and walls were smooth crystal, reflecting their forms in distorted patterns. The air shimmered with energy, and the hum of the palace became louder, almost deafening. Clara appeared on the platform, her presence dominating the room. She extended a long metallic-like arm, and the energy in the chamber shifted instantly. Gravity pulled differently. Streams of light formed obstacles, and the reflections in the walls became illusions meant to confuse. "This is your trial," she said. "Survive and you may earn my respect. Fail, and you will serve as an example to others who dare defy me." Bram studied the room carefully. Every movement, every reflection could be a trap. "Stay alert," he whispered to his crew. "Watch for patterns. React, do not panic." The first challenge came almost immediately. Streams of energy shot across the room in unpredictable paths. The reflections in the walls multiplied their forms, creating illusions that could trick the mind. The attendants advanced, moving faster than the eye could follow. Bram led the human team through precise maneuvers, dodging, sliding, and using their environment to their advantage. Every step was calculated, every breath controlled. Mara shouted as one illusion nearly drew her into a trap. Bram grabbed her arm and pulled her back. "Focus," he said. "This is as much a test of mind as it is of skill. Ignore what is not real." The attendants closed in, their metallic limbs striking with precision. Bram blocked a blow with a reinforced arm guard, then countered with a swift strike that sent his opponent back. His crew moved in coordination, each trusting the other implicitly. The palace seemed to pulse with their actions, responding to their resilience. Clyra watched silently from her platform, her form shifting with each move, almost blending with the energy around her. Her eyes glowed brighter as if measuring every thought in Bram's mind. He realized that she was not just testing strength. She was testing strategy, courage, and the ability to remain calm under pressure. Hours seemed to pass, though the room's energy made time feel distorted. The humans moved as one, anticipating the next challenge, reacting faster than the palace could generate illusions. Bram led with calm authority, using his mind and instinct rather than brute force. Each test they passed strengthened their resolve, proving that humans could endure what no other species had survived. Finally, Clyra raised her arm and the illusions faded. The attendants paused, stepping back. The gravity returned to normal and the room's energy quieted. Bram's crew stood, breathing heavily but unbroken. They had survived the first encounter, and Bram's gaze met the Queen's. "You are resilient, human," Clyra said, her voice softer but still firm. "Few have ever faced my trials and endured. Your courage and determination are rare qualities. But this is only the beginning. The galaxy will judge you not by your survival, but by the choices you make." Bram inclined his head slightly. "We will prove that humans are more than fear. We rely on each other and the strength to stand tall, even against overwhelming odds." The Queen did not respond immediately. Her form shimmered, almost as if she were considering his words. Then she spoke. "Very well. Continue forward, human. The palace will reveal more. I will watch and the universe will observe. Your next test awaits." The humans moved forward, their confidence growing with each step. They had survived the first encounter, but they understood the challenges ahead would be greater. Zyrith was a world of power, and Queen Clyra was its master. Yet Captain Bram and his crew had already shown that courage, ingenuity, and unity were qualities that no alien could easily break. As they advanced into the deeper chambers, the palace seemed almost alive with expectation. Every crystal, every reflection, every pulse of energy felt like it anticipated their actions. Bram realized that their journey was not just about negotiation or survival. It was about proving that humans could face the most extraordinary power in the galaxy and remain unbroken. Captain Bram and his crew moved deeper into the palace. The walls here were taller, smoother, and pulsed with a rhythm that felt like a heartbeat. Every step sent tiny ripples through the crystal floors. The palace seemed alive, almost aware of their presence. Bram glanced at his crew. Each of them felt the pressure of the Queen's gaze, even though she was not visible. The first encounter had tested them, but the real trials were just beginning. The humans entered a wide chamber. It was circular, with a high ceiling that curved upward like the inside of a crystal dome. Streams of light crisscrossed the floor, forming moving patterns that looked like barriers. Bram's instincts told him that these patterns were more than decoration. They were obstacles designed to challenge anyone who stepped inside. "Careful," he said to the crew. "Observe first. Do not rush. The palace is testing our patience as well as our skill." Mara knelt and scanned the patterns. "They respond to movement," she said. "If we move too quickly, the light will activate some kind of defense. If we move too slowly, the pattern shifts and closes pathways. It is a puzzle and a trap at the same time." Bram studied the arrangement. The pattern seemed random, but he recognized a rhythm. He instructed the crew to follow his lead. Step by step, they moved across the floor, matching their pace to the pulses of the light. Occasionally, a beam would flash dangerously close, but they learned to anticipate its timing. The crystal floor seemed to test not just their reflexes, but their ability to think under pressure. Suddenly, the walls of the chamber shimmered. From the light itself, figures began to appear. They were tall, armored forms similar to the Queen's attendants. Their movements were precise, almost like machines, and they advanced without hesitation. Bram's heart raced, but he stayed calm. He knew this was part of the test. "Defensive positions," he ordered. "Do not attack unless necessary." Watch, learn, and act as a team. The figures lunged at them with surprising speed. Bram blocked one with his arm guard and pushed it back. Another came from the side and he sidestepped, using the momentum to unbalance it. The crew followed his lead, moving together with coordinated precision. Lena used a portable device to create temporary energy shields, deflecting the attacks while the others maneuvered around the figures. Each encounter taught them something new about the palace. The figures were not invincible, but they were fast, strong, and highly intelligent. Bram realized that this trial was more than physical combat. It was a test of strategy, teamwork, and the ability to adapt to a constantly changing environment. After several rounds, the figures vanished, dissolving into light. The chamber floor shifted again, creating new pathways and challenges. Bram wiped sweat from his brow and motioned for the crew to pause. "We are learning," he said. "This is what she wants. Not just to test our strength, but our mind and courage." Mara pointed to one of the walls. "The crystals there," she said. "They are resonating with the energy of the figures. If we can manipulate that resonance, we can predict the next pattern and move safely." Bram nodded. "Good. Use it." Mara focused her scanner and discovered a sequence in the pulses. With her guidance, the crew began moving faster yet carefully across the floor. Each step was calculated, each action deliberate. The palace reacted, shifting lights and energy streams, but the humans adapted. They were not perfect, but they were relentless. Every mistake was corrected immediately. Every challenge was met with courage. After crossing the floor, the chamber opened into a larger space. The ceiling here was a dome of pure energy, casting bright colors across the walls. Bram felt the air vibrate around him. This room was different. It was not only a test of movement and strategy, but also of perception and endurance. The Queen's presence was stronger here. He could almost feel her thoughts, assessing every decision, every reaction. From the center of the room, a new challenge appeared. Crystalline structures grew rapidly from the floor, forming walls, spikes, and barriers. The formations moved as if they had a mind of their own, creating an obstacle course that required careful timing and precise navigation. Bram signaled for the crew to spread out, covering more space while staying within sight of each other. "Follow my lead," he said. "We move as one. Watch the formations and anticipate their movement." The crew advanced slowly, jumping over spikes, ducking under barriers, and moving along narrow paths of crystal. Each step required attention and courage. One wrong move could mean being trapped or crushed. The air was hot and the palace pulsed with energy, but Bram kept his mind clear. He focused on patterns, rhythm, and timing. Suddenly, a section of the floor began to rise, creating a wall between him and two of his crew members. Bram quickly analyzed the mechanism and shouted instructions. Lena activated her device to stabilize the floor, while Mara used her tools to adjust the energy flow of the crystals. Together, they overcame the obstacle, proving that human cooperation and ingenuity could solve problems even in an alien environment. As they reached the other side, Bram noticed that the Queen's image appeared briefly in the energy above them. Clara's eyes glowed brighter than ever. "You are clever," her voice echoed in the chamber. "Few beings could navigate this challenge. But cleverness alone does not guarantee survival. Will you maintain your courage when the trials become more personal?" Bram did not respond aloud. Instead, he signaled for the crew to rest for a moment. "We are doing well," he said. "But this is just the beginning. The Queen is testing every part of us, our minds, our reflexes, our teamwork. We must be ready for the next challenge." The next trial began almost immediately. The walls dissolved and the chamber transformed into a shifting landscape. Gravity changed direction in different zones, making movement difficult. Energy waves pulsed unpredictably, forcing the crew to adapt constantly. Attendants appeared again, striking with incredible speed. Bram realized that brute force would not win this battle. Every move required careful observation and quick thinking. He led the crew through the chaos, using the environment to their advantage. They jumped across floating platforms, avoided energy blasts, and outmaneuvered the attendants. Lena created temporary energy shields to block attacks, while Mara analyzed patterns to predict the next hazard. Bram relied on instinct, training, and the human ability to improvise. Hours passed in this trial, though time felt distorted in the ever-changing chamber. The crew moved tirelessly, supporting each other through every challenge. Bram felt exhaustion creeping in, but he refused to show it. The Queen's tests were designed to break the spirit, not just the body. Humans, he knew, had an advantage: endurance of will. Finally, the chamber quieted. The shifting floor stabilized, gravity returned to normal, and the attendants disappeared. Bram's crew was exhausted but unbroken. They had faced incredible physical and mental challenges and survived. Bram looked at them, pride swelling in his chest. Each member had shown courage, intelligence, and resilience beyond what anyone could have predicted. The Queen's voice filled the chamber again. "You have endured much, human. You have demonstrated courage and ingenuity. Few species could have survived what you have. But tell me, will your spirit hold when faced with choices that test your ethics and loyalty? Survival alone is not enough," Bram stepped forward. "Humans are more than their survival instincts. We rely on trust, loyalty, and the strength to protect each other. These qualities make us stronger than fear. We do not yield to intimidation. We do not bend to power that is unjust." The energy in the chamber pulsed again, softer this time, as if the palace itself was acknowledging his words. Bram realized that this trial was not only about skill or strength. It was about proving the human spirit, the ability to face overwhelming odds and remain true to one's values. Clyra's image appeared once more. Her form shimmered, less rigid than before. "Impressive, human. You have proven that your species has qualities worth observing. Few have the courage, intellect, and unity you display, but the universe will continue to challenge you. The next steps will reveal whether your resilience can withstand deception, temptation, and moral dilemmas. Only then will I know if humans are truly worthy." Bram acknowledged the Queen's words. "We will face any challenge. We will stand together. We will prove that humanity can rise even in the presence of unimaginable power." The chamber's energy dimmed, signaling the end of the current trial. Bram and his crew paused, breathing heavily but feeling stronger than before. They had learned much about the palace, the Queen, and themselves. They had survived tests designed to break them, and their unity had kept them alive. Captain Bram and his crew moved cautiously through the twisting corridors of Queen Clyra's palace. The walls glowed faintly, showing streams of energy that shifted with their movements. Each step seemed to echo in multiple directions, making the place feel bigger than it truly was. The humans had passed the first trials, demonstrating courage and intelligence, yet Bram knew that the most difficult challenges were still ahead. The palace was alive. Every crystal, every pulse of light seemed aware of their presence. The attendants moved silently around them, guarding every corridor and doorway. Their metallic forms reflected the shifting colors of the walls, making them appear even taller and more intimidating. Bram felt the pressure of the Queen's gaze again, as though she was observing not just their actions but their thoughts. "We need to keep moving," Bram said quietly. "The palace has a rhythm. If we follow it, we can anticipate the challenges, but we cannot rush. Patience is our advantage." Lena scanned the energy fields along the walls. "The patterns are changing faster here," she said. "It is almost like the palace is testing us in real time. We need to stay alert. One mistake could trap us." Mara pointed toward a faint glow at the end of the corridor. "That light," she said. "It looks different from the energy around it. It could be another trial, or someone waiting." As they approached, a figure stepped from the shadows. It was humanoid, but not entirely human. The being was tall, muscular, and wore armor similar to the Queen's attendants, yet its movements were less rigid and more fluid. Its eyes glowed faintly, reflecting intelligence and caution. "Stop," Bram said, raising his hand. "Who are you?" The figure raised its hands in a gesture of peace. "I am Raxon," he said. His voice was calm but firm. "I serve Queen Clyra, but I have watched you. I know your courage and intelligence are rare. You may need help to survive what comes next." The humans exchanged cautious glances. Bram studied Raxon closely. He could feel no deception, yet he knew that appearances could be misleading in this palace. "Why should we trust you?" he asked. Raxon stepped forward slightly. "Because if you fail, it is not just your lives at stake. The Queen's judgment will ripple across your world. I have seen many who were broken by her tests. You are different. You think, you act, and you care for each other. These qualities are dangerous to a ruler who expects obedience without question. I can help you navigate the palace, but you must decide to trust me." Bram considered the situation carefully. Trusting an alien servant of the Queen was risky, yet their trials had shown that intelligence and courage were as important as strength. After a brief pause, he nodded. "We will trust you, Raxon, but know this: betrayal will not be tolerated." Raxon inclined his head. Understood. Follow me and I will guide you past the next obstacles. They moved deeper into the palace, following Raxon through corridors that seemed to twist and shift. Bram noticed how the energy patterns responded differently around Raxon. It was as if he had a subtle connection to the palace, one that allowed him to influence its movements. The attendants ahead of them paused and then continued on a different path, leaving the humans unchallenged. This palace tests more than physical ability, Raxon explained as they walked. It reads thoughts, intentions, and emotions. Many are broken not by traps or combat but by fear and doubt. Your success depends on staying true to yourselves and each other. Bram nodded. We have faced that already. We will not fail now. Raxon led them into a chamber that was unlike the previous ones. The walls shimmered with an almost liquid energy, and the floor was smooth and reflective. At the center of the room, a large pedestal rose from the ground, glowing faintly. Bram felt the energy radiating from it, sensing that this would be a critical test. You must retrieve the orb on that pedestal, Raxon said, but it is protected by illusions and psychic barriers. The Queen will know your thoughts and try to use your fears against you. Focus and trust each other. That is the only way to succeed. The humans approached the pedestal cautiously. The moment they stepped closer, the room shifted. Reflections appeared on the walls, showing alternate versions of themselves. In some images, they were defeated, broken, or trapped. The palace was trying to confuse them, to plant doubt and fear in their minds. Bram took a deep breath. Ignore the illusions, he said. They are not real. Focus on the pedestal and on each other. We succeed together or not at all. The crew advanced slowly, each step measured and deliberate. The reflections reacted to their movements, shifting constantly. Bram felt a psychic pressure, a subtle force attempting to influence his thoughts. He focused on one truth. Fear is a choice. Courage is the weapon of the mind. Lena reached the pedestal first, but a wave of energy pushed her back. Bram grabbed her arm. Steady, he said. Use your strength and focus. Don't let the palace control you. Mara analyzed the patterns on the pedestal. The energy is responding to our confidence and unity, she said. If we doubt ourselves or fight each other, it will become impossible. But if we act together, the barriers weaken. Bram nodded. On my mark, we move as one. They coordinated their steps, focusing on the pedestal while supporting each other. The reflections on the walls began to fade, replaced by pure light. The energy waves slowed, responding to their combined will. Lena stretched out her hand and touched the orb. The moment she made contact, a surge of energy pulsed through the room, and the illusions vanished completely. The pedestal lowered, and the orb hovered gently in her hands. Bram felt a moment of triumph, but he remained alert. The Queen's voice filled the chamber. Impressive, human. You have passed another trial. You rely not only on strength, but on unity and trust. These are rare qualities indeed, Raxon stepped forward. You have proven that humans are not only clever and courageous, but capable of loyalty and trust under pressure. These are the qualities the Queen respects, even if she does not show it openly. Bram looked at the orb, then back at Raxon. We did this together, not just us, but with your guidance. We owe you a debt of thanks. Raxon shook his head. The credit belongs to you. I only provided insight. The Queen cannot stop all that is human. Your determination, ingenuity, and loyalty are your own. Remember this as you face the next trials. The challenges will continue, and they will test all parts of your being. The crew left the chamber, moving through corridors that seemed less threatening now, though the palace remained alive and aware. Bram noticed a subtle shift in the energy around them. It was as if the palace acknowledged their success, but also reminded them that greater challenges were yet to come. This palace is like nothing we have ever faced, Mara said. It responds to our actions, our intentions, and our unity. Every test is a lesson, Bram nodded. Yes, and it is teaching us something important. We cannot rely on brute force or speed alone. We must think, adapt, and trust each other. That is what makes us human. That is what gives us an edge, even against the Queen. Raxon led them to a wider corridor, one that opened into a space filled with soft, flowing energy. The attendants were no longer present, but Bram could sense that they were still observing, ready to act if necessary. You are being prepared, Raxon explained. The Queen will challenge you physically, mentally, and morally. She will seek to understand whether your species can endure her ultimate test. Many have failed, but you have qualities she has not seen before. Bram felt a sense of resolve. We will face whatever comes next. We have already survived more than any human could imagine. We will not falter. As they moved forward, Raxin glanced at them with a hint of admiration. Few beings have demonstrated what you have. You are not only survivors, but pioneers of your species' potential. Remember this. No matter what happens, your courage and unity will guide you. The humans continued their journey through the palace, more confident but fully aware of the dangers ahead. They had found an ally in Raxin, one who understood the palace and could guide them through its perils. Yet they also knew that the ultimate challenge had not yet arrived. Queen Clyra's judgment would be final, and it would test every aspect of their humanity. Captain Bram led the crew onward, their steps steady and determined. They had faced illusions, combat trials, and psychic challenges. They had survived by relying on intelligence, courage, and unity. And now, with Raxin's guidance, they were prepared to confront the trials that would determine not only their fate, but the fate of their world. The palace awaited them, alive with expectation. Bram and his crew were ready, their spirits unbroken. They had already proven that humans could face unimaginable challenges and emerge stronger. The final tests would come, and they would meet them with courage, ingenuity, and the determination that made their species unique. Captain Bram and his crew moved through the final corridors of Queen Clyra's palace. The walls glowed softly, pulsing with energy that seemed to sense their every step. The palace itself had become quieter, yet Bram could feel the weight of the Queen's presence more than ever. The previous trials had tested their skill, courage, and unity, but now the ultimate challenge awaited. Every instinct told him that the next encounter would decide not just their fate, but the future of humanity. Raxin led them to a vast chamber unlike any they had seen before. The floor was made of reflective crystal that stretched endlessly in all directions. The ceiling rose high above, covered in streams of moving energy that shifted colors like liquid fire. The air was thick with power, vibrating in a way that resonated deep within their bodies. Bram paused at the entrance, studying the chamber carefully. "This is where the Queen will appear," Raxin whispered. "This trial is different. It will test your judgment, your loyalty, and your will. Strength alone will not save you. You must be true to yourselves and to each other." Bram nodded. "We are ready," he said. "Every step we have taken has prepared us for this moment. Whatever comes, we face it together." The chamber pulsed with light, and suddenly a figure emerged. Queen Clyra appeared in full form, taller and more imposing than ever. Her body shimmered like liquid metal, her eyes glowing with the intensity of countless stars. The attendants did not accompany her this time, but Bram could feel their presence just beyond the edges of the chamber, like shadows ready to strike if needed. "You have come far, humans," Clyra said, her voice filling the chamber and echoing inside their minds. "Few beings have faced my trials and survived. You have shown skill, courage, and loyalty. But now I must know whether you can endure what is most difficult: choice, ethics, and the strength to stand by your convictions even when everything seems against you." Bram stepped forward, his posture steady. "We are human. We have faced danger before, and we have always relied on courage, unity, and loyalty. We will not falter." Clyra's eyes glowed brighter. "Then you will face the final trial. I will present you with a scenario where every choice will matter. You must act wisely, not only for yourselves but for those who rely on you. Make a mistake and the consequences will ripple through your world." The chamber shifted suddenly, and the humans found themselves in a simulation of their home planet. Cities rose before them, peaceful at first, but suddenly under threat from a massive alien force. They saw innocent lives at risk and buildings collapsing under attacks. Clyra's challenge was clear: make decisions that would save the most lives while minimizing harm. Bram's heart raced, but he focused on the facts. "We must assess the threats and prioritize," he said. "We cannot save everyone, but we can save most if we act carefully and together." Lena quickly analyzed the energy patterns and identified weak points in the simulated attack. "If we can redirect the alien force here," she said, pointing to a channel of energy, "we can protect the majority of the population while minimizing damage." Mara scanned the simulation further. "Some areas will be at greater risk," she warned. "We must make difficult choices. Prioritize human lives, yes, but consider the long-term consequences as well." Bram made a series of rapid decisions, delegating responsibilities to his crew. Lena would manage the energy shields. Mara would analyze the structural weaknesses, and Bram would coordinate their overall strategy. Each decision was precise, based on logic, strategy, and the protection of the most vulnerable. As they acted, the simulation tested their resolve. Clara's voice echoed in their minds. Do you value logic over emotion? Do you weigh the many against the few? These choices reveal the heart of your species. Show me your strength, human. Bram met her gaze. We do not abandon compassion for survival. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. We make sacrifices when necessary, but we never betray our principles. That is what it means to be human. The simulation intensified. Energy storms struck the cities. Alien forces attacked from unexpected directions, and the humans had to make split-second decisions. Bram's crew moved with perfect coordination. Lena adjusted energy shields to block attacks while Mara directed the flow of civilians to safe zones. Bram guided them all, ensuring that every action preserved life and minimized harm. Hours seemed to pass within the simulation, though it could have been only minutes. The palace around them pulsed in response to their choices. Bram realized that this trial was not just about saving lives, but about proving that humans could remain true to their values under extreme pressure. Finally, the simulation ceased. The city and the alien threat disappeared, leaving the humans standing in the vast chamber once more. Bram's chest heaved from the intensity of the trial, but his resolve remained unbroken. He looked at his crew, seeing their exhaustion mirrored in his own, yet also their determination. Clara's form shimmered, her expression unreadable. You have faced not only physical trials but moral ones. You have demonstrated courage, intelligence, loyalty, and compassion. Few species can endure what you have endured. Few can act with such clarity under pressure. Bram bowed slightly, not in submission but in acknowledgement. We are human. We face challenges as a species, relying on each other and our principles. We have proven ourselves through action, thought, and unity. The Queen's eyes glowed brighter, and for a moment her form seemed less rigid, more fluid, almost like she was impressed. You are different, she said finally. Your species is capable of qualities I have not observed in others. Courage, unity, and compassion are rare, yet you wield them naturally. You have earned respect, human. Bram allowed himself a small smile. Thank you. We do not seek power or dominance. We seek understanding, peace, and the chance to protect our world. That is our strength. Clara stepped closer, her immense form casting shadows across the chamber. Very well. I will not conquer your world. I will not demand submission. You have shown that fear cannot bind you, and that intellect and unity can overcome even the most formidable challenges. You have earned a place in my observation not as subjects but as equals. Raxon stepped forward, his expression one of quiet approval. You have proven more than skill or courage. You have proven the value of humanity itself. The Queen recognizes your spirit and the strength that comes from your unity. Bram nodded to Raxon. We could not have done this without insight and support. But the courage and decisions were ours. That is what matters. The palace pulsed with light as if in approval. The attendants bowed subtly, acknowledging the human's achievement. Bram felt a sense of pride not only for himself but for his crew, and for the entire human species. They had faced unimaginable trials, navigated the palace, and met the Queen's challenges with courage, wisdom, and unity. You leave my palace, Clara said, her voice calm and firm, not as subjects but as equals. Your species has potential that others underestimate. Remember this as you return to your world. The universe is vast and full of challenges, yet you have proven that humanity can endure and rise above even the most extraordinary threats. Bram and his crew prepared to leave the palace. The corridors seemed warmer, calmer, as if the palace itself recognized their success. The crystals shimmered with soft light, reflecting not fear but respect. Raxon stayed with them until they reached the exit. You have done more than survive, he said. You have shown that humans are a force of courage, ingenuity, and compassion. These qualities will guide you in the trials yet to come. Bram smiled. We will remember. We will carry this experience with us and share it with our world. Humanity has shown what it is capable of, and we will continue to stand tall in the face of any challenge. As the humans stepped back onto the golden sands of Zyrath, the palace shimmered behind them. Queen Clara watched from the highest tower, her form reflecting the sun. Bram felt the weight of her gaze not as intimidation, but as acknowledgement of what they had accomplished. The crew gathered around their captain. Mara spoke first. We did it. We survived every trial, and we made it through the moral challenge. We proved ourselves, Lena nodded. We proved that humans can face the impossible and still remain true to their values. We have courage and we have each other. Bram looked at each of them with pride. This is more than survival. This is the human spirit. We do not kneel to fear. We do not bend to threats. We rely on courage, intelligence, and unity. That is what makes us strong. That is what will carry our species forward. The ship awaited them, engines humming softly against the sand. As they boarded, Bram took one last look at Xyrath. The planet was no longer just an alien world. It was a reminder that the universe contained challenges, but also opportunities to demonstrate the strength of humanity. As the Resolute lifted off, the crew felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had faced an empire, confronted the most formidable alien ruler, and emerged stronger. They had earned respect not through domination, but through courage, unity, and adherence to their principles.